Moneymakers, welcome back to another episode of Taking Stock Live. I'm your host, Kalila Reynolds. We're bringing you all the latest business news and telling you how it will affect you and your money. Now, forgive my stuffiness. Remember, I have two small kids at home. When you have kids school age, going to school and picking up stuff, I am going to be sick basically all the time because we catch things from each other. So, yeah, I'm going to hold up, though. I have my water handy tonight. I have my tissue handy, so we will make it through. But what we are going to tell you about tonight is Fontana, because it's been all work. Set them up for work over at Fontana Pharmacy. They've got a lot going on, and we're going to be telling you all about it tonight with their CEO, Anne Chang. And then later in the show, we're talking about Jamaica Broilers. What are their latest results showing us? So before we get started, as usual, let me know in the chat where you are joining us from, what part of Jamaica or what part of the world. Let me know in the comments, in the chat. Where are you? I like to see all our international viewers, all our local viewers. Where are you joining us from tonight? Of course, also hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, share with a friend, and let them know that Taking Stock is live. Now, come on, let's get this money.
On this episode of Taking Stock, it's been a busy few months for Fontana. The Monarch Pharmacy acquisition, exclusive distribution rights for Fenty Beauty, and so much more. We'll discuss all the happenings and the company's plans for the future with CEO Anne Chang. And the analysts weigh in on the latest market developments. Jamaica Broilers' third quarter results are out. How did they perform? We'll discuss.
But first, here's what's hot, brought to you by JMMB Group, your best interest at heart.
Jamaica's government has raised $12.2 billion through the Trans-Jamaican Highway offer for sale. The offer received over 24,000 applications. Investors who applied in the general pool will receive the first 2.7 million shares they applied for, and 33% of the rest. That means applicants who applied for less than 2.7 million shares will receive their full allotment. New Fortress Energy says it will be selling its Jamaican assets and operations to US-based clean energy company Accelerate Energy for $1 billion. New Fortress supplies nearly 2/3 of the energy powering Jamaica's electricity grid. The sale will include the company's LNG import terminal in Montego Bay, an offshore floating storage and regasification terminal in Old Harbour, and the 150-megawatt combined heat and power plant in Clarendon, along with associated infrastructure. According to New Fortress, the proceeds will help the company reduce its corporate debt and bolster working capital. The transaction is expected to close in the second quarter of 2025. The Statistical Institute of Jamaica says, between January to November, the country recorded a 9% decline in export earnings. The country made $1.7 billion from exports last year, compared to $1.8 billion in 2023. However, Jamaica also spent less on imports. According to Statin, lower imports of raw materials and intermediate goods and fuels and lubricants were the main reasons we spent less. Most of the imports during the period came from the US, China, Brazil, Japan, and Colombia. NCB says that all its Midas debit cards were deactivated on March 31st. The NCB Midas card was first introduced in the early 2000s. However, the cards will no longer be accepted for transactions at ABMs or point-of-sale terminals. NCB said it's now using the NCB Visa debit card, a newer, more secure, and more widely accepted option. Customers who still have Midas cards can upgrade at any NCB branch or remote service center at Megamart locations island-wide on select weekends. Customers should take along a valid government-issued ID and taxpayer registration number. Elon Musk has sold social media site X to his own artificial intelligence company, XAI. The deal reportedly cost $33 billion and is an all-stock deal. Musk purchased the site formerly known as Twitter in 2022 for $44 billion. According to Musk, the move will unlock immense potential by blending XAI's advanced AI capability and expertise with X's massive reach. XAI already uses data from X user posts to train its artificial intelligence models.
It's that time of the month again. Money Mentorship is the first Monday of every month. This is my exclusive mentorship program for Money Mission members. Get personalized advice from me on money, business, finance. The link is in the description or the comments for more information. Let's get this money.
Welcome back. All right. So I'm seeing some mixed reviews coming in for the AI. Now remember, by the way, that's Daniel. Daniel is our AI. Yesterday I had no voice. So our best option at the time was to try to get an AI to do it. Originally, I tried to clone my voice. That had me sounding Irish, so that didn't work. But we'll play around with it some more and see if we can eventually get it to work. Of course, the first bet is to try to use a human being, preferably me, because I usually do it. But when you have complications like your host has no voice, then you can turn to AI, turn to the machine. That's some other comments. X-Ray Design says, "Watch ya, Kalila gone AI now. Got a gal." Shells is giving a thumbs down to the bot. Unbothered says, "Definitely hearing AI here. It's the way of the future, so we have to get with it." Jeremy says, "That AI no sound good." Jeremy not liking the AI, but at least we had the segment. We had something to get the information to you, because I had no voice at all yesterday. Now, before we get started and introduce our guest for this evening, let me big up some of the people who are joining us. Let's see who we have online. Garfield says, "Blessed night, have one from Spanish Town." Dwight Jackson is joining us from Spanish Town as well. Kish is sending greetings from the UK. We got Mount Felix in Mandeville. The Diplomat is in ATL. JT is in Kingston. Humble Boss is in the Grill. Sheena is joining us all the way from Belize. Hi, Sheena. Tell everybody back home I said hello. Christopher is in Kingston. We got Jazzy Batty Bay Nails joining from Texas. Tyreek is in Halfway Tree at Mandela Park. Ooh, I like that. On the go. We got Gibbon joining us from St. Lucia. We have Anvil in Crossroads, Kingston. Denval is checking in from Nassau, Bahamas. Supervillain is in the Grill. Unbothered is in Clarendon. Robert Young, on the people them walk in Atlanta, Georgia. We have Richard in St. James, Oren in Ochi, Royston in Red Hills, and Omi in Jacaranda, Homes in Spanish Town. So yeah. All right. Well, big up everybody who is joining us this evening. Love to see all the viewers. And I know there's a lot of excitement about everything that is going on over at Fontana. Because if you haven't heard, they are expanding. They recently acquired Monarch Pharmacies, which will increase their footprint by 3 additional pharmacies across Jamaica. They're also launching, becoming the exclusive retailer for Fenty Beauty next week here in Jamaica, the exclusive retailer in Jamaica for Fenty Beauty and Fenty Skin. I saw that, the stalls are going up inside the store there at the Waterloo main location. They're also coming to Montego Bay as well. And that's just a few of the things that Fontana has going on lately. So let's hear more from the CEO, Anne Chang. Hi, Anne. Welcome to Taking Stock.
Thank you for having me.
I'm glad to have you.
Excited to be here.
Oh, Great to have you as well. This is actually your first time on Taking Stock. We've had Fontana before. I think your brother was the
That's right.
representative at
Yeah.
that time. That was around the time that you listed. So your first time on Taking Stock. My pleasure to have you. Tell us a little bit about your background. I know this is a family business, but tell us
Sure.
about
Yeah.
your background and your experience with Fontana.
Okay, sure. So you can hear from my voice. Even though I was born in Jamaica and grew up here a little bit, I was mostly raised in Canada. So I went to university there. I got my degree. I worked at Bell Canada, which is a very large telecom company in Canada. I worked there for 10 years. I left when I was an associate director, and I had a myriad of jobs. I worked in finance, results, retail, and then I spent a good amount of time in marketing, which is my favorite part of business, to be honest. So I moved back here about 24 years ago. Fontana has been in business for 57 years, and I've been here for 24 years. And then when we listed, which was in 2019, I became the CEO, and I've held that position ever since.
Oh, lovely to have you on. The last time we spoke to Fontana as well, the Portmore
Yeah.
location wasn't even open yet. And so now you are well established in Portmore. How has that been going?
So it's been great. And we're seeing, it's taken a little bit of time. The pharmacy always takes a good year. People are very loyal to their pharmacists and that kind of stuff. So it's been slowly building every year, and we're very happy with the results so far. It's a beautiful store. I know Portmore is really happy to have us there. And like I said, the pharmacy has been picking up every single month. We're seeing growth. So we're very happy with that investment.
I was looking at some of the numbers recently as well. I know you don't like to talk about the numbers too much, but I
I
feel
didn't
like
say that.
Fontana,
I didn't say that.
I feel like Fontana has earned some bragging rights. Record quarterly revenue of $2.7 billion for the third quarter.
Mhm. Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you. You know what? We have been really proud of how our team has been performing. There've been some tough times. COVID, and it took a long time to get out of COVID. It affected a lot of things, like the long-term effects you saw, like 2 and 3 years. But I think our team was really good at pivoting. COVID hit right after we opened Waterloo, and that was a really big deal. But we are really proud of it. The success is really on the team and how they've been able to manage everything.
What's the split between the retail and the pharmacy side?
Well, I can't really say that. It's kind of, it's like giving up the secret sauce. But, we do a good amount on both sides. Let me just say that. The pharmacy and the front shop, we do a good amount on both.
Sometimes I even forget Fontana is a pharmacy.
I think a lot of people do.
I hate to say because it's in the name, but I think of you as so much more.
I think a lot of people say that. I think it's like Target. That's how they look at us like now at this point. And we've had a lot of debates about dropping the pharmacy name, but at the core, that is our, and always will be, our core business. And that's what the foundation is really based on. But a lot of people don't call it Fontana Pharmacy. They just call it Fontana.
Yeah, my kids love it. I feel like they think it's Fontana with a U.
You know what? I think,
I love going to Fontana.
When I hear moms and dads say that, it makes me so happy, because we spend a lot of time trying to cater to those children, because we know they're going to grow up to be future Fontana customers.
They get excited whenever I say I'm going to Fontana. They think
we work hard to get that excitement.
Yeah. Speaking of pharmacy, though, mention the pharmacy side. Is the acquisition of Monarch Pharmacy complete now?
So yeah, it's totally complete. So I did want to correct you. You had said earlier in the intro was 3, but it's actually 4 locations. It's 3 in Kingston and 1 in Portmore. So the acquisition is completely done. We shut them down, and we have like pretty specific plans for the 4 of them. We actually reopened Tropical on Friday, kind of a soft opening. We thought that one had the most upside immediately, because we don't have a strong presence over there. We're going to be opening Portmore next. And we have an interesting concept for Portmore, if you have a minute for me to tell you about it. We're going to try we're going to try and do really sort of like a Fontana last chance, sort of an outlet clearance combined with the pharmacy. So you're going to be able to go to that Portmore Monarch location and at any time see deals on like 50, 75% off goods. So it's something that we're trying, and that's going to open this weekend. Then the next one's going to be the Lo Shushan. So we were doing some minor renovations to that, painting it, just freshening it up, that kind of stuff, stocking it out, making some changes to the layout. And then the Sovereign location will actually be closed most likely until May. We're doing major renovations at that one, like full changes, lots of that required it to just be shut down for a while.
Wow, I love those. I love that concept of having that. What did you call it? The outlet location in Portmore.
So we're still
you already have the big store in Portmore, so this is your secondary store.
Exactly. So that's why it's going to take a while to figure out their customer base, the proper mix to have them. But we just felt that this was a concept that we think could work there. So the idea is it's still going to be great merchandise, but it might be, say we bought 48 and it's the last 2. So, and it's just a great place to send all of that merchandise so that we can move all of the new merchandise. But it will still have regular price stuff like personal care, all of that kind of stuff. So it'll be a combo mix. So we'll see how that one goes.
I like that. I didn't realize the store at Tropical was open. I was there at Tropical Plaza today and I needed some medication and I looked over. I said, oh, Monarch is there. Then I said, oh, no, but Fontana has it now and they're probably renovate. And I didn't go. If I knew, I would have gone and saved myself.
Oh, well, now you know. We actually, and we did want to have sort of a soft one, because we're still we just did a quick fix to it. We were still stocking out. We're still sending stuff. But we thought we were at a good enough place that we could manage the traffic and open. So we opened on Friday, and we did actually just post this week on our social media that it was open. So probably a lot of people don't know. And I'm sure it's going to pick up every day because it's a very heavily traversed location.
Yeah, I'm just impressed with the growth that you guys have had over the past 5 years. I was asking somebody recently what even was at Barbican before it was Fontana. Like I can't even remember now because it seems like you're just a staple in the area.
Yeah, and it's so funny. We've only been there 13 years. Remember, up until 13 years ago when we came to Kingston, all of our locations, it was Oteria, Save, Mandeville, and Montego Bay. So, and it's so funny now that Kingstonians feel like we've been around forever. So we've been around 57 years, but only 13 in Kingston. But now we're going to have 5 locations there. So it has been a crazy 5 years, like crazy. I can't even begin to explain how crazy it is.
Yeah, I've noticed. We've noticed, especially with the opening of Waterloo, big things happening. So, all right. So are all the Monarch pharmacies going to be rebranded as Fontana?
Eventually, yes, they will. That's our plan. So the truth is the whole Monarch acquisition and transition to Fontana, the Fontana that you know it right now, that's going to take probably the rest of the year. I mean, to totally renovate and open the 4 stores at the same time would be almost an impossible feat. So we have a good plan on how we're going to get there, and everybody will be able to see sort of the transition and how that happens over the next little while. But it's going to take a little bit of time, work out all the kinks. And like I said, we have to really understand how they're all going to work together, how their customers might differ from ours, what they want, and that's going to take time.
Speaking of those renovations all happening around the same time and this acquisition, I saw that you guys recently raised $950 million through a bond with Scotia. Was that primarily for this?
Yeah, so it was facilitated by Scotia, and it did end up being taken up by NCB and Scotia. It was primarily for this, but you got to think about it now. We have the four stores that we did buy, then we have to fix them up. Then we were launching Fenty, and launching Fenty, we're also opening 2 other concept stores, Aura. One of them is inside Waterloo, and then one of them is actually a standalone store right adjacent to us in Montego Bay. And it's to curate more of a luxurious experience and also to attract more brands like the Fenty, that's a plan. We're hoping this is just the beginning.
What's a concept store?
So this store, when we say concept store, because it's really going to be for high-end luxury. So when we really went down the road to try and do a partnership with Fenty and with a lot of those bigger brands, they have a lot of requirements that they want. And sometimes a pharmacy doesn't really meet those requirements. So we really had to listen, really had to pivot to try and meet their requirements. And so when you come to our launch, which I hope you're going to be coming to, you will not only see Fenty, you're going to see walls of brand new perfume scents, and some high-end ones like Hermes, Loewe, Narciso Rodriguez, Carolina Herrera, Armani, Prada. So you're going to be really surprised when you see it. So it's called Aura by Fontana.
Oh my goodness, take my money. I'm going to be broke.
Yeah,
this is not good.
It's so exciting.
But it's good for me as a shareholder. It's good. It's great for me as a shareholder.
Yeah. I mean, we're always trying to innovate. We're always trying to be a market leader. And when you see the store, I think you're going to be surprised. Our goal is, instead of everybody saying all the time, oh, this looks like foreign, like I would like this to be the standard for Jamaica, that this is what Jamaica should look like. So I think when you see this new concept, you'll see what I mean.
So I'm imagining something like a Sephora type of vibe is what you're going for.
I mean, it is. So we have to be a little careful about that, because Fenty is an unusual brand. And when I say that, I mean, it has a very broad appeal. Many of the products appeal to many, many people. Some of those other brands, like, people might want one or two. So our goal is to, carefully pick things that are like the Fenty, the scents, which have been doing incredible for us. And to try and get to that place, but definitely listening and understanding what the Jamaican market wants and are willing to support. That's a very important point.
And Aura is entirely your brand. It's not something that you're licensing.
It is completely ours. We came up with the name, the concept, everything. So the idea of Aura is, I'm sure you're used to, like, that buzzword about having an aura. It has been really big. And then, it means, I think it means to give life, which, when we talk about beauty and scent, we talked about it many, many different names, but we just said, and they kind of rolled off the tongue, the Aura by Fontana, and the logo is beautiful. So when you see it, I think everything that it was describing will sort of fall into place.
What did you say was the timeline on that launch?
No, it's launching next week with Fenty. Same time.
Oh, okay. Now I have to come to the launch.
Yeah, you have to come. So, when you were saying we have so many things going on, I was thinking about it. So it's Fenty, which is a big one. It's the Aura, which we were building out the concept to also have Fenty inside it. It was taking over the 4 Monarchs at the same time. And in addition to that, we are actually overhauling our pharmacy system to really enhance the customer experience. And all of this is happening as I'm sitting here.
Speaking of Fenty, Philip wants to know if Rihanna is coming for the launch.
So, okay, I can't tell you what Rihanna's going to do. That is totally up to her. It's not in our plans right now, but we are going to still have lots of great things at the launches, which are happening on April 10th in Waterloo and April 12th in Montego Bay. It's open to the public. Her brand is all about inclusivity. So this is a launch that's happening in store, not a private event. Everybody that is welcome to come.
Okay, good. Not a private event. I automatically assumed it was going to be a private event.
You know what? Because I think that's what Jamaicans are used to, but we're a retailer.
Make that money.
So it's all about the customers. Yeah, it's not just that though. And really, to see all the products, it has 600 SKUs. That's kind of hard to bring to an event, that kind of stuff. So, we're going to have a whole day of activities planned. Rushcam's going to be hosting it. DJ Sparks is going to be the DJ. So there's going to be lots of excitement, lots of giveaways, raffles, gift with purchase, all kinds of stuff planned. So
what time does it start?
So the one in Kingston it's 9 to 5. It's during the day. So that's on the 10th. And then the one in Montego Bay is 10 to 5 on the Saturday.
Are you going to be expanding that offering, the Fenty line, and like maybe even the Aura concept outside of Kingston and Montego Bay?
So our plan is obviously to see how these two go. You know, Kingston and Montego Bay are our two largest markets. So, you know, that's how we kind of do everything. We try to test the market, we try to refine it, and then see how the reaction is. So this is a concept for us. We feel it's a great concept. And the plan is absolutely to keep on moving with this if the public supports it.
I saw that you also partnered with JPS to launch the My JPS Hub. I think this is at Fontana Portmore.
Right.
So is this the type of deal that you want to see more of at Fontana? More collaborations, more in-store?
But you know, we already do that. Like in the Fontana Montego Bay store, it has inside it a quick photo days photos. It also has a Cafe Blue, a full one. So, and then Waterloo already has Candy Craze, Imperial Optical, and Technocrat, which is all tech stuff. So this is a concept that, and we have paymasters at a number of the locations. So the JPS one, while new with JPS, is a concept that we have had for a long time now. So it's always our plan, and we do have a couple more interesting ones that we are just signing the contracts on. So, but absolutely, the whole idea of a one-stop shop for our customers, and it is absolutely in our plans.
Big things for Fontana. Let's take some comments and questions from the audience. Ryan says that Fontana Monarch location in Portmore, the model sounds like the Court's Lucky Dollar model. I love it. Corner the Jamaicans where it's profitable. Then we have Ryan Purcell, a different Ryan, says, how soon will you do an APO to offset the cost of the acquisition? But you got the bond, so you don't need to do that, right?
Yeah, exactly.
We got the financing already.
Yeah, we have all the financing. And remember, we have a very healthy balance sheet already. So we have this, but we already, have this sort of planned and taken care of.
Yeah. Elijah wants to know when we can start investing. Anytime, Elijah.
Yeah.
You don't need to wait on any special offer.
Nope, you can invest anytime.
Since 2019 or
right.
early 2020.
Yeah, because we already
was
hit
the IPO.
Yep, that's right. So you just got to find somebody willing to sell it to you. And the stock's been up on the uptick. We're really hoping that Fenty's going to push it up even farther. We have really high hopes for the Fenty brand. It's something that our customers have been begging us for since Rihanna launched this in 2017. So it's such a proud moment for us. We've learned so much working with them, working with such an international brand. And I think it's going to make us a better company as well. We're taking notes of how they operate, how they do things. As a company that really cares about our brand, I totally understand it. And we hope that this will show more international brands that we can manage and offer, what it is that they need for us to do.
And I saw a statement from you guys probably a couple of days ago saying that you will be matching international prices for Fenty.
Yes. So I did say it would be very close, is what I said. And yes, it will be, because that is really critical for something, that is small, easy, that you could order and pack up. So we are going to be extremely sharp on our pricing so that there is no need for you to go elsewhere. I'm assuming that you're a fan, and if you're not, you will be now once you come into the store.
Absolutely. Personally, yes, I have several Fenty products wearing Fenty Beauty right now.
Tell me, what's your favorite? What's your absolute can't do without Fenty product?
I like the the luminous soft lit foundation. I like it for TV, not so much for outside, but it looks great on camera. I like the concealer as well. I think those are my two favorites.
Well, your makeup always looks flawless.
Your makeup
always looks flawless. So I knew it had to have some Fenty in there.
Yes. But you make a great point, because I saw a lot of people saying originally, oh, it's going to cost a whole lot of money because, it's Fontana.
Yeah.
And you can always just order the same stuff online. But you also have been establishing a track record. Was it last year that you launched Sol de Janeiro in store too?
I'm so glad you brought that up. And I think, we're trying, everybody also has to remember we have to pay 20% duties plus a lot of other stuff on top of the prices that we're getting. But when we launched Sol, and that was a really important lesson for us, we did come in very close to prices in the US, and it's been extremely successful for us. And so we recognize that with those kinds of brands, we have to. It doesn't make any sense. If you can get it cheaper online through those shipping companies or anything like that, why wouldn't you? But we have the experience. Our girls are going to be, they're all trained with Fenty. They're going to have the expertise. So we're super excited about this.
Yeah, and that's such an important point as well. Forgot what I was going to ask you again, but I'll take this question from the audience. I had a follow up and it just slipped me.
I'm sorry.
Maybe I'll remember
about
later.
that.
Ryan has a great question. Ryan says, does Fontana's market value and revenue still fall within the cap for being a junior market company, or is it heading towards meeting the main market criteria?
No, so we will be a junior market for the 10 years, like what was established. So the first 5 years, remember, was tax-free. And then the last 5 will be 50%. But we'll be on the junior market until we graduate. It's not a problem.
Okay, next question is from Noel. As an investor, what should we look for in the short term? I feel like you said a lot.
I feel like that's what I've been telling you. I don't know how much more we can do. I think what we're doing right now is taking so much out of us. It's going to take the whole year to really build on everything. I expect great things from the Monarchs. That's going to add right to our bottom line. I think Fenty is going to have such a positive impact on our bottom line. And we do have some other things in the pipeline product wise that we're always looking to add new things to help with our revenue streams. Always.
Orlandi says, as a fellow shareholder in Fontana Pharmacy, am I entitled to a discount? Also, are there any plans for increasing dividend payments?
So we don't do discounts just for our shareholders, but we have lots of sales and lots of special things to, we have our rewards program that's completely free to join. And some of those, every month it's different products. And some of them are like 25 to 40 to 50% off the regular price. And all you have to do is sign up and have a card. It's linked to your card. And you also get money back on every single one of your purchases.
I like the birthday program.
Yeah, what was this? Oh, that's right. And the birthday. What was the second part? I answered the first
dividends. If there's plan for any increase in dividends.
Well, the dividends are always a result of how you perform during the year. So that we'll have to see how our numbers end up. We do have a lot of expenses this year, but we have been consistent in paying out our dividends year after year, and nothing is going to change. I think it'll only get better.
Michelle says you will get the discount in dividends.
I love that.
That's a good way to think of it. Yeah. Think cashback rewards. I like that. Yeah. The more you shop, the more dividends you get. Lanesra, good question. How has the online store been doing?
So the online store, it's interesting. It is definitely picking up, and we did actually a large investment in it to make it more user friendly. But what we find, most people use the website, and they'll tell us they go and look on the website to come in store. So we do have the bulk of our website users are from abroad, buying stuff for people here. So that they can ensure that they will buy products, pay for it, and then they can just pick them up in store. And that's what the bulk of our online is right now. But we will be launching a special online Fenty, because it's only available in the 2 cities, and if you don't have time. So that probably won't be available right for the launch, but our plan is to have it online. And I do think that we're going to see a lot of uptick from that.
So you can do on-the-ground courier to different towns across the island. Yeah,
we do that now. We ship anywhere across the island and abroad through the website. It's fully functional. We have lots of regular customers that buy, especially, like I said, from abroad, buying for family or friends or special occasions here.
I think another opportunity too, I'm sure you're already doing this as well. When you said that most of your online shoppers are from abroad, I thought you were going to say that they're buying the Jamaican products that they can't find over there.
That they do.
Like
That
your
is some
local
of it.
brands, your Etinios and your local beauty
Yeah,
products and stuff.
that is true, some of them, but we do have to be careful about what you can ship abroad. They have a lot of rules, especially about over-the-counter stuff. So they do buy that. They buy souvenirs, but they also do buy for relatives and friends here.
Okay. Does Fontana have any plans to expand regionally outside Jamaica?
Can't you just let us just get through this right now? I will say that we are always open and looking for opportunities wherever they present themselves. But is that going to happen immediately in this year? No, it's not. I think we really have our hands full. We've done so much so early that we need to now really sort of refine everything.
Yeah, you guys have been operating on steroids. That's why I had to ask, because I feel like that seems like the next logical move because you're expanding so quickly.
No, I totally get it. I mean, people ask us all the time, but there's still a lot I feel we can do in Jamaica, and we've seen it. Remember, I said we've only been in Kingston 13 years out of 57. So I feel there's still a lot of opportunity, right here. Now we'll have the 5 locations. Kingston is a special place. They like to shop at Fontana.
They sure do, especially since you opened Waterloo and it just became such a landmark. I've seen many people, it's first time they ride on an escalator. You bring foreign to Jamaica for real.
It's funny you mentioned that, because when we did that, I don't think we really realized that. And it really has been a draw. We get school tours and all of that kind of stuff. And I mean, that wasn't the intention when we did it. We really did it for a customer convenience, but that is how they feel about it. They're really, some of them, it's the first time they have ever stepped on an escalator. Some of them won't go on it. They're a little nervous.
I have seen that at that store. I've seen people scared to go on the escalator and just completely in awe, standing up there looking at it. And somebody younger tries to coax them to go on, and they're like, "Nope."
It's so, or people trying to take the carts down, which you're like, no, that's not a good idea.
I'll take just a couple more, because this is just such a good conversation, and I love to see local brands that are really building and expanding the way that you have. Trivia wants to know if you have plans to have a store in Maypen.
As I said, we never say no. Is there a plan for this year? No, that's not in our plans for this year. But, we're always looking for opportunities. And sometimes you never know when they're going to present themselves.
New complex in Morant Bay.
Not right now.
Okay. Well, that's a hot area for development with the new highway. So yeah, like you said, you're open to it.
Yeah, no, we are. Even Portmore, that was growing so fast. That seemed like the next natural place. It's just booming. So much development, so many customers there. So we're definitely open-minded. We don't say no. We look at great opportunities whenever they come up.
Yeah, the viewers have lots of suggestions for you. So what about having a small location inside Sangster Airport Terminal or Norman Manley?
Yeah, we have thought about the airports. I mean, it's not in our short-term plans right now, and those rates are extremely high. But I'm not going to say no.
Understood. Well, I feel like we've discussed so much, but I'm still going to ask, is there anything else that you wanted to mention? Maybe you left out anything else?
What could I mean, I really hope. So I do want to just talk about Fenty again, because we are putting a lot in these 2 launches and forward. I hope that it's going to be well supported. As Jamaicans, if we want to keep seeing these companies and these brands in Jamaica, we have to make sure we support them. It can't only be when you run out and you want to have it, as a backup. And so that's what I would encourage. If you guys want to see more of these brands land in Jamaica, we have to support them, all the time. And you have to understand that it's very hard to match exactly what's in the US. when you have duties and all of shipping that you have to pay for to come in there. And we try really hard to keep our prices down. But I do hope that everybody supports this brand. It's a fantastic brand. It was born out of the Caribbean, as everybody knows. She's from Barbados. And so we have high expectations, and I really hope that Jamaica shows up. If you saw the video, I don't know if you saw it, it has gotten almost 13 million views on the
one of the Jamaica nails.
Yeah. So we got our own special one because we were not.
I thought I was like, why is she wearing Jamaican nails? And then I read the caption. I was like,
yeah.
Oh, okay.
So it was a really big deal. We were not part of the original launch when they came out, and then she promised Jamaica that she was coming, and so that was her own very unique way of announcing it. We were very lucky to get an announcement just for Jamaica, and even for Fontana to get a shout out as a retailer, and as a result. 13 million views. It was unbelievable, and it just keeps racking up more. So
that's amazing.
Excited.
So, I was gonna close it up, but 2 more questions from the viewers, and this is it. So Philip wants to know, were the plans for Old Harbor and Spanish Town branches shelved?
No, I haven't said anything that I told you. I haven't said no to anything. We do have a lot of other plans coming up, and we're always assessing, future opportunities.
And this last one, this is in my interest because I live in Mandeville now, and I've been wondering this as well. Oh, that's the wrong question.
I was going to say.
Nicholas, any plans for the original store in Mandeville as it's dated?
It is totally true. And they are really due for a facelift. But then these things come up, like the Monarchs come up, and the new opportunities like the Portman. And you have to prioritize. And sometimes, and it keeps getting down on the list, but it is 100% in our plans to update, as well as the Montego Bay location. And you're right, it does need a facelift to look more like the Waterloo and Portmore stores. So it is going to happen.
Okay, I'm here for it. Thank you so much, Anne. You've given us a lot to look forward to.
Thank you.
All the best. Hopefully I see you at the launch next week.
I better see you at the launch on Thursday. Remember, it's 9 to 5, so you could sneak out for 1 hour and come and visit us, right?
I have to sneak out all the way from Mandeville, but we'll figure it out.
Okay. All right. So thanks again for having me. That was it was a great talk. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you so much. All right, guys, that is it for this segment. It's time for our poll question of the week, which has nothing to do with Fontana or Fenty or Monarch, because for the past, 3 weeks, we've been asking budget questions. It's been all things budget pretty much the entirety of March. And so there are a few things that we never really touched. So one of them is on this Amazon offering free shipping to Jamaica. And I guess it does tie back into the discussion we were having, talking about Fontana saying they have to match or at least come very close to international prices, especially now that Amazon is offering free shipping to Jamaica. So the question is, should freight forwarders be worried now that Amazon is offering free shipping on select items to Jamaica? Because it's not for everything. So should local freight forwarding companies be worried now that Amazon is offering free shipping to Jamaica on several items? So here are your options. Yes, this is A. A, yes, other retailers will follow suit. B, no, we'll always need freight forwarders. C, not if they are flexible and offer more value. Or other, leave a comment. Should local freight forwarding companies be worried now that Amazon is offering free shipping to Jamaica on several items? A, yes, other retailers will follow suit. B, no, we'll always need freight forwarders. C, not if they're flexible and offer more value. Or D, other, leave a comment. Let us know in the chat what you think, or you can take that poll on the community tab of our YouTube channel or over on Twitter, now known as X, or in our email that's going to be going out tomorrow morning. Make sure that you subscribe at getmoneynews.com and you'll get that email in your inbox tomorrow morning. Leave your answers in the chat as well. Up next, we've got your market recap, and the analyst is standing by.
Time now for your March market recap, brought to you by mymoneyja.com, the official data partner of Money Media. The combined index was mostly flat in March. 128 stocks traded across the main and junior markets. 57 made gains. 63 lost value and 8 stayed the same. 1.3 billion shares changed hands on the Jamaican dollar market, valued at $25 billion. Now let's see who had March's biggest gains. Medical disposables and supplies was up 32% to open April at $1.83. Dolphin Cove climbed 26% to start the month at $16.12. And G West Corporation was March's third biggest gainer. The stock was up 24% to start the month at $1.12. On the losing side now, 138 Student Living Variable Preference was last month's biggest loser. It's down 33% to open the new month at $203.94. Kintyre Holdings fell 32% to open April at 27 cents. And ISP Finance Services fell 23% to open at $16.87. Over on the Trinidad and Tobago Stock Exchange, the composite index lost 14 points, or about 1% in March. Massey was the most traded stock of the month. It gained 1 cent to open April at $3.90 TT. JMMB was the TTSE's biggest gainer, up 13%. It opened the new month at $1.22 TT. Ansa Macau was the month's biggest loser, down 14%. It was a rough month over in the US. The Dow Jones lost 4% in March, while the S&P 500 dipped 6% and the Nasdaq fell 8%. At the pumps last month, gas prices rose $3.30, while the cost of regular diesel dropped $3.97, and low-sulfur diesel was down $4.59. In foreign exchange, the Jamaican dollar lost 58 cents against the US dollar in March, closing the month at an average $158.36 to 1 US. The JMD weakened against the Canadian dollar, closing the month at $110.40. The JMD also weakened against the pound and euro. It lost $3.40 on the pound and $7.56 on the euro. Finally, on the crypto markets, Bitcoin prices fell 4% in March, trading at $82,557 on Monday. Meanwhile, Ethereum dropped 20%, trading at $1,825 on Monday.
Market Recap was brought to you by My Money JA, the official data partner of Money Media. Not long ago, I asked how many of you would be willing to pay to watch Taking Stock. And a lot of you responded that you would pay, but some of you begged me to keep it free. And I get it. Everyone goes through financial challenges, and I want as many people to access this information as possible. So I've decided to give you the option to make a donation and help to keep Taking Stock free. Go to patreon.com/moneymediaja.
Disclaimer. This is not intended as financial advice. Please consult a licensed financial advisor before making investment decisions.
Welcome back. So let me take some more comments before I introduce our analyst for this evening. Shell says that I need to try out other voices because that one is too bottish. I did actually. That was actually the best one for the situation because they have different styles. So you have some that are news style. You have some that are more upbeat and energetic. Some are more like, I guess, TikTok voiceover styles. I thought this one sounded the best for what we were trying to do. And I think the market recap one was better than What's Hot, because we kind of sped it up so it didn't sound as stilted, except for when it said 1, 3, 8. So with a little tweaks here and there, we can make it work. But this was just a test because I had no voice yesterday, so we had to figure something out, and I decided to give it a try. I don't think it was too bad. So hush, Shells. Next time, I'll be back next week, hopefully, and you'll hear my voice on it. But interesting development. X-Ray says I get a thumbs up for figuring it out, even if a AI use. I saw some other comments. Learn, Grow, Invest said, sounds like AI voice, nice. Um, Shell said that bot again. If he was a person, I would slap him. Oh gosh. She said the bot voice just throwing me off every time I hear bots. I think fake news. Humans have overused AI on YouTube so much it's traumatized me. Even real news I question. And then Ryan said, try getting an Owen James AI voice next time. Does he have an AI voice? I don't know. I don't know. But you can clone your own voice. And I tried it, but I tried the cheap version. I'll play it for you later when we're wrapping up the show. You'll get to hear it. It made me sound Irish. I tried to clone my voice, but there's a more advanced version that costs a little bit more money. I think I'm going to experiment with it as well and see, what comes out of it. We'll take your comments on the poll question a little bit later as well, because I really want to get into our analyst segment this evening. Our analyst is David Rose, our Taking Stock analyst this week. He is back as usual. Welcome back, David.
Night, Kalila.
Okay. So this evening we're talking about Jamaica Broilers. Their third quarter results are out. How are they doing? Because there's been quite a bit of news coming out of Broilers.
Well, it wasn't pretty. That's one thing for sure. So, a lot of persons, saw the delay in the quarterly report. And then, the report came out on Thursday, just before markets open. And you just saw this $1.115 billion loss, which came as a surprise to many persons, compared to the $1.3 billion net profit they would have had in the prior period for the Q3. So, that came as a massive surprise to a lot of persons. And as a result, the price has taken quite the nosedive. So for Jamaica Broilers right now, it's at $28.10. I think that's the last closing price. So it's done 22% year to date. So a lot of persons are, not happy, especially for like the Mayberry Jamaican Equities, which is the fifth largest shareholder in Jamaica Broilers. So I know those folks are not happy over there with the state of affairs as to, the fact that the price has dropped. But in every crash there's opportunity. So similarly to how Dolphin Co. stock price decline, resulting in some persons buying at $11.90 and $12 are selling back at 19. Some persons about Jamaica Broiler at 27 yesterday, and probably could have been able to sell at $30 by the end of yesterday. So some persons are making profit in the correction phase in a sense, but a lot of persons are visibly concerned at the state of affairs because there was a briefing that they had at their head office by McCook's Pen in St. Catherine. And, what they pointed out was that the reason for that massive spike in the costs for the Q3 was largely because there are invoices that should have been posted in the prior periods that were just being posted all at once in the third quarter, largely from the US's operations. So as a result, you had this massive spike in costs, and it's costs that have been incurred in the prior period. They're just recording it in the current period to allow for investors to know what's kind of happening. But the US operations had a $13 million US net loss, and dragged the overall group into a net loss. And they've sacked the entire USA management team. They're taking steps to ensure that there are more controls in the business to have better monitoring and oversight. But it's just one of those interesting things I just look back to because we would have seen, Dolphin Co. stock price diving recently. Even today, the company announced that their artificial are delayed because of the bankruptcy situation with their parent company in Mexico. So, in the case of Jamaica Broilers, it's one of those situations as well where you're just seeing tough results, and the market is trying to just process the information as best as it can. Because one thing that I asked Christopher Levy, and I hope he can actually come on the program and answer questions to the general public, was about potential restatements for the prior years. He couldn't give a comment on it, but if we're seeing these kind of invoice, inputs for this recent report, what's happened with the respective prior periods and any potential restatements. So it's just a period right now of uncertainty, and I think the Jamaica Broilers is still a more stronger job to ensure that the public can understand what's still taking place with the business.
Now, for those of us who are wondering, those of you who are wondering, why was Jamaica Broilers performance so dismal? A lot of it had to do with the U.S. operations, right, David? Tell us what was going on there. Give us the update.
Well, there are things that are considered hearsay, and there are things that are considered fact. So let's look at the facts for this case. So basically, the USA management team, apparently wasn't as focused on cost control. The company also pointed out in the session that, chicken prices would have declined during that period. So chicken prices went from like $1.80 per pound to like as low as $1.15. They mentioned that there were some weather events during the period. So like I think it was the hurricanes along the southern belt. The Jamaica Broilers operates like in South Carolina. I believe they operate in Georgia. So they operate in a couple of states on the eastern seaboard or the eastern side of the USA. And basically there were just things that should have been happening at Jamaica Broilers USA that weren't happening. And it's unfortunate because when you appreciate the fact that chicken as a commodity is so valuable and this is Jamaica Broiler's strongest growing division, it's truly a sad thing to look at. But at the same time, it's somewhat of a blessing because at least now the USA business is going to get a lot more oversight, which is likely going to generate better returns for shareholders. What do I mean by that? So, during the briefing, Christopher Lee mentioned that their plant yield at their processing plant, either in Georgia or South Carolina, right? That's for the chicken processing plant. They said the yield was like 57%, when they went in, and within 2 weeks, it was up to 62%. So you're talking about a 5% increase in yield of chicken being processed just because Jamaica management, stepped in and took over the operational control of the business. So when you think about that, when you think about the fact that, you have the growing egg business, and we've seen the recent spike in egg prices, and, the fact that Jamaica Broilers does have a relatively growing position in the competitive US market, they do have, some level of, significant forward step. But I think this hurdle right now is relatively, just a major headache for many people, because one thing that, was mentioned as well was that vendors in the USA, persons that provide services to Jamaica Broilers USA, they were not being paid. And, that was affecting the relationships they had out here in Jamaica. Potentially the vendors always were contacting vendors here in Jamaica, saying this was happening, and, that's one part of it. And, they mentioned as well that the profit being generated, wasn't matching the cash, in the accounts. So to be honest, the USA situation, what is known and is fact is pretty unfortunate.
You mentioned that we should reach out to Mr. Levy to have him on the show. We did invite him on earlier this year, and he declined. Now we understand why. Now we can see why he declined that interview. But we had invited him on actually because when we did our annual year in review show, 3 out of our 5 analysts had pointed to Jamaica Broilers as one of the stocks to watch for 2025, and well, they weren't wrong. It is a stock to watch, I guess, but maybe not for the reasons that they had anticipated at the time. But does this report change all of that forecast for broilers? Do you think they can turn it around?
They can turn it around, but one thing that's going to be of concern to analysts is knowing where Jamaica Broilers actually stands, because for Jamaica Broilers to mention operational control issues, that's a serious red flag. So this is something that I'd like to explain, because a lot of persons don't tend to appreciate, the financial reporting process. So, for example, let us say you go to a supermarket, Kalila, right? You take up, let us say, a candy bar. Take the candy bar to the cashier, pay for the product. A couple of things happen there. For one, revenue is recorded on the sale of the candy bar. And then at the same time, inventory goes down and cash increases. So when you do transactions, in a business, different parts of the balance sheet are affected alongside the income statement as things take place. Now, most people don't know that the company is what prepares the financial statements for the auditors who come in and do certain checks. So the auditors, prepare the financial statements. They might have a particular preparation style that you tend to notice from time to time that is kind of standardized, but it's really the company that prepares the financial statements, right? Auditor comes in and is testing for controls, testing for cash movement and so on. So for example, they will contact the bank, they will contact the JCSD, for example, if they own equities. They're going to verify with external parties and say, hey, the company do this, the company do that. And based on those controls, they will say, hey, based on our observations and opinion, these financial statements appear to be true and fair. Now, when you have this mention of operational control deficiencies, it's a major problem because the artists are going to have to go back in and have a lot more scrutiny on the business. And it's a problem for the artists as well. In this case, this will be likely in PwC USA because, person going to ask, how did they not see some of these things when they're doing their review? But something that my, learned accountant friend, told me was that in auditing, you take samples. So you tend to look at the larger value accounts. So for the larger vendors, the larger suppliers, the larger customers, those are the persons you contact and say, hey, did XYZ sell this amount of product? Can you confirm this? Did you sign a contract with this person? So when it comes to financial reporting, there's a lot that persons don't tend to appreciate. And right now, from the analyst community at least, they're very concerned because for them, they're trying to understand, is what we're seeing in Jamaica Broilers right now likely to lead to restatements for the prior years? And if so, how far back does it go? So let us look back at an example last year with Productive Business Solutions, PBS, and their situation, right? So they identified an issue in Costa Rica related to contract liabilities and a couple other things. And that caused their audit report to be published all the way in November when it was due from the end of March. They got suspended as a result, right? Their 2022 net profit was restated from $8 million US to around $2.5 million US. That's a significant haircut. Now, put in the context, if the restatements happen to Jamaica Broilers and it's been USA being a material subsidiary, for the analysts, they're going to have to refactor, the restatements into their analysis and models. So for me, JBG is still fundamentally sound business, especially from the perspective of, the Jamaican business equates more to the Caribbean, the hyper business, the growth of more QSR. So, we're seeing the re-entry of churches, Texas chicken back into Jamaica. We have Verchek opening, we have Quick Chick opening, KS with more locations. We have more than 2,000 hotel rooms coming on board over the next 5 years. So in the Jamaican perspective, there's a lot of growth. And even amidst the confusion that's happening in the USA right now, people still have to eat. And Jamaica Broilers operates in a space that scale, efficiency, and just offering a good product and price will get to your sales. And people are going to always consume products, in this case, especially chicken, which is the world's most consumed meat. So from a fundamental standpoint, once they're able to give the public a true understanding as to where they really are and have some level of books that they can say, hey, this is what we have determined alongside their auditors. And by the way, they actually had an external third-party auditor from PwC USA to assist them in that review process up there. Then I'm sure that, the analysts will have a lot better perspectives, to give on Jamaica Broilers, because before COVID, it was trading around like $17, $19. It was hovering pretty tight around that price. And, in early January, it went as high as 41, probably a potential peak of $42. So the market has respected Jamaica Broilers, growth, especially from the USA perspective. Yeah, to decision to exit Haiti, and the fact that they're exporting about 10% of their production in Jamaica to the rest of the Caribbean, Trinidad and elsewhere in between, it does tell you that, they have a lot of growth ahead of them. But for this current speed bump, I can say speed bump, call it a pothole, because that's the honest reality. Getting over it.
It's a Jamaican pothole because it's big.
Yeah, once I get over this and, they're able to give us some perspective as to what's going on, it can become a lot clearer for the community and the investing public to know, hey, we can gauge, relatively speaking, where this business is going and how they're growing. So
somebody in the comments said eggs are like Bitcoin in the US right now. They're so expensive. So that should have been an opportunity for broilers.
But remember, Kalila, they mentioned the fact that chicken prices also declined in the USA in the period under review from about 180 to 115. So, but egg prices might have gone up. Your chicken is a much more profitable product. So that just to give some context.
Were they hit by the bird flu? I heard that was one of the main reasons that that egg prices are so high right now in the US.
They didn't mention, any issues about bird flu, but they did mention the weather events a couple months ago and just the declining chicken prices. And even they're hit by the bird flu, in whichever part of operations they were, if they were hit, I don't think it would have been a major reason for this significant drop that we're seeing right now in the segment results and even the profitability of the US business, because they have the processing plant, the feed, and all these other segments. So they're in that vertical segment of just the chicken process with chickens. But even with the potential bird flu, they would be benefiting from higher prices. So.
Okay. Question from Ryan. Ryan wants to know, how comes Broilers is allowed to host a private investor briefing for brokers and the media and not invite shareholders? Is this allowed under Jamaican law, especially since it involves material info?
Ryan, this is Jamaica. If a house is burning down and you call the fire department, somebody might tell you, hey, why you calling the fire department? The house is fine. So I experienced a Telegram group, and I said to people that, hey, for me, I prefer more open spaces where everybody can hear. And I do understand both perspectives, both from the company and the investor side. So to be honest, I think that, it should have been something that was openly streamed to the public, for the general public to appreciate that took place. But as it currently stands, between our Securities Act and even the weakness of the JSC's, rules, it's not a breach, to be honest, in that sense. Like, you have companies like Pulse and Purity that publish quarterly results every quarter to MD&A. And it's just the reality of our market. We don't have strong disclosure requirements, and a lot of persons were very confused as to why Jamaica Broilers just a very limited commentary on the US operational issues in their quarterly report that was published last Thursday. So it's just the reality of our market. You have deficiencies, and the persons who have some level of clout don't see it as a benefit to improve these things.
Okay. Well, we're going to have to leave it there for this evening, David. Thank you so much for your perspective as usual. I see people asking in the chat, basically they want to know if you're a millionaire by now. Somebody said that you invest in all of the companies on the stock exchange. A lively discussion going on there about your investments.
So just one comment. So back in 2020, I rated the deficiencies that happened at the JSC, and as a contingency measure, I just bought a share in every company. So as a result, sometimes when the JSC forgets to post things on the website, I'll get things in the mail from the JCSD, which can act as the backup measure. So, there's still issues that happen with the JSC. Like, for example, last year MPC sent their annual AGM notice to the JSC. It was posted on the website, but I got it in the mail. So it's a contingency measure for the weakness at the JSC, in my opinion. And, it doesn't mean that I'm bullish at every company in JSC. It's just a way for me to hedge against the deficiencies at the JSC in terms of communication and information to the general website and just processing information to the public.
Oh, okay. I get it. All right. Well, thanks for that information, David. We're going to wrap it there. We'll talk again soon. And viewers, we'll be right back with your comments. And I'll also let you hear my AI generated voice.
This segment of Taking Stock, The Analyst, is brought to you by...
If you want 5 million Jamaican dollars, what would you do with it?
Put it in a fixed deposit.
Fixed deposit?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Anything else?
Yeah. Wheel of Fortune. Wheel up more money. Get more money accomplishment from Grace Kennedy. Yeah.
So
How is
Grace,
everything?
Grace Kennedy, you like the stocks?
Yeah. Stock up on bully beef and bread. You get you more comfortable.
All right. So you get you more comfortable. All right. I'm going to play that AI clip for you in just a minute. I'm still trying to put it together because it's apparently you can't just play audio here in the program that we use, which is called StreamYard. So I'm going to have to try to put something together, and we're trying to do that right now as we speak live. All right. Okay. I think I know how I can do this. Put it in Canva and then let you hear it. So let me share my screen from Canva, and you tell me what you think about my AI clone. This cost me $5 to create. Let me go here, present, share screen. All right.
Of Taking Stock, on this episode of Taking Stock, it's been a busy few months for Fontana, the Monarch Pharmacy acquisition, exclusive distribution rights for Fenty Beauty, and so much more. We'll discuss all the happenings and the company's plans for the future with CEO Anne Chang, and the analysts weigh in on the latest market developments. Jamaica Broilers' third quarter results are out. How did they perform? We'll discuss.
How did that sound? That's supposed to be me. It made me sound Irish. How did it sound to you? But that was the cheap version. That was the $5, me testing it out. They asked me to upload 2 minutes of audio, and that's what it came up with. But there's a more expensive version that costs $22, and you have to upload 30 minutes of audio. So I'm going to try it out, because I do think that it's good to have as a backup in those instances when like I lose my voice and something happens. So I'm going to try it out for $22 and see if it sounds a lot more realistic. But I think there's also some tinkering that you need to do with it as well to kind of train it to sound more like you. But let me see what you guys are saying in the comments. R. Sukra says, it's not bad. Learn, Grow, Invest says, let my daughter do it. She has zero interest in media. Well, not zero, because she actually is our video editor. She edits all the stuff for Taking Stock. Kilo is sending laughing emojis. Raquel says, don't like it. She said, don't like it. I think you mean don't like it. Lanezra says, it's not bad. Kimberly says, not natural at all. Damien says, look like the real rich one still. Is that referring to me? Ash says, I don't like it. Shell says, my AI sounds better. At least you know it's me. It's supposed to be me. It does have, yeah, she said the AI put an accent on your voice. Learn, Grow, Invest says, don't use that. Well, I didn't think it sounded good. I preferred Danielle's voice, but I'm gonna try the more advanced version and see how it sounds. Ash is sending laughing. Kimberly says no. I said no. All right. Some people said it wasn't bad, but let's see. I'm gonna try it out for next week just to see what it sounds like, and we'll do the $22 version and see how that comes out. You guys have a lot of comments that I wanted to get to as well. Let me take some of those. Noel says, endless possibilities for Fontana for sure. They really have been on a growth spurt these past 5 years. Dee said, I tried the face wash and body butter. They were great, and I'm a guy. I guess that's the Fenty skin line. Philip says, Riri plus Carnival plus Fontana equals rocket ship to the moon. Ryan saying the same thing. Riri plus Carnival equals main event. Ooh, interesting. Who else? Ryan noting My Money JA loud on taking stock. Yes, My Money JA is now our official data partner for Money Media, and reminding you that you can use the code Money Mission for 10% off your subscription over at My Money JA. What else we have? Evron says you don't need Prime to get free shipping, even in the States. Once the order is over $35 US, you get free shipping. Yeah, okay. Ryan says Amazon giving mail pack a rough time. Responses now to our poll question. So C, let me see what these options were again. Reminding you of the options. So the poll question was, should local freight forwarding companies be concerned about Amazon offering free shipping to Jamaica? A, yes, other retailers will follow suit. B, no, we will always need freight forwarders. C, not if they are flexible and offer more value. D, other, leave a comment. So Kamisia saying C, Natoya says C, Sharon says C, Christopher says C. So it's C, a lot of people saying C, and that is not if they are flexible and offer more value, then it shouldn't be a problem. Damien says, nice, now business can grow without tax. Philip says, Jano Cal, AI replaced the newsreader. You know, I was thinking about that. I'm like, these things only get better and better with time. And very soon you won't need professional newsreaders like me. I would have been out of a job if I stay at NNN within, 5 years? The personality part is what drives it now. So the people who are able to not just have a nice voice and read the news, but the people who have personality, who are able to, think on the spot, offer analysis, those are the people that, are going to thrive in the new AI era, because absolutely, you are completely right. Philip, in the past, I would have had to pay somebody to do that voice, and I got AI to do it for me for $5. And now I can train my own voice. But of course, it also has its risk, because if my voice profile gets into the wrong hands, you know what can happen. They're already using my images to scam people. Now they can create voice notes with my voice, sounding like me, and videos looking like me. It's scary. There are opportunities and there are great uses, but it's scary at the same time. Kemoy said, I can train a model on my voice. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to do, Kemoy. Philip says, pick up My Money JA every time. Trivia says, the local couriers will need to worry when Amazon actually puts a warehouse in Jamaica. Why do I feel like that's exactly where it's heading? Roswell says, JBG can always rebound. Just buy that nice dip. It will work well for those who get in so low price. Learn, Go, Invest said he had broilers on his list too and took them off right before the news. And he says, sounds like something foul happened. Ha ha ha. See what you did there. Well, we're going to leave it there for this week, viewers. Thank you so much for joining us yet another week. I made it. Me and my voice and I made it through this episode, despite, not feeling so great, thanks to a little caffeine energy. And you as well. You guys always hype me up and make me feel energized for the show. I always leave the show on a high, like with a whole bunch of energy, and I always end up working late on a Tuesday because I just have so much energy after interacting with you all. So thanks for making this hour and 18 minutes fly by. It's been my pleasure joining you for yet another week. Guys, remember to like the video, subscribe to the channel, share this video with a friend, let them know that investing is the new sexy. So let's make it cool to talk about money. I'm Kalila Reynolds. Thanks as well to my hardworking production team, and we'll see you again next week. And of course, let's get this money.